we go. Wow. I'm back on Streamlabs, folks. Welcome to the channel. My name's Margaret Pinard, and you're on Booktube. And what a day to have a Wednesday wrap up. There, that's what I prepared. Welcome to my live stream of 9 book reviews. I thought I had 8, but I did not count the library interlibrary loan. So I had 9. But the cover's not that great, so it doesn't really need to be on the thumbnail. It's Wednesday. It's a bi-weekly Wednesday wrap-up day, but it's also the day after the election. So I just wanted to say something about that so you know where you are on my channel. I'm heartbroken about the results. I'm heartbroken about what it says about the country I live in. I was already in a bit of a depression before the election, so this isn't making it any easier in terms of feeling disempowered and whatnot. So I'm thinking about things and trying to deal with this in a proactive way that's productive, that is community building rather than despairing. I looked at my local elections. I lost on one of those as well, but I did get to see a little smiley face. The weatherization change was not made, but the local election board was. So I'm like, well, swings and roundabouts, as they say across the pond. So that's my feeling on that. I write historical fiction because I care about righting RIGHT injustices, and this just makes me want to scream. So maybe it'll make me want to write more. I still can't touch contemporary stuff, but man, maybe I'll find new historical stories that describe what we're going through right now, and that will be therapy. Maybe. So that's where I am about that, and that's where the channel is. So stay if you're down with that. In other news, I have a book coming out, and I'm spending some of my time fighting Draft to Digital about an ISBN that they think doesn't belong to me. But it does, and it doesn't belong anywhere else. So that's taking some of my attention and energy. That's great. I can't print the books yet. The book tour starts next week. So I will be going on other people's channels and talking to them about the new book, Orla Rafferty Seeks Her Fortune. And there's a lineup. So I'll just give you the lineup before we get to our first round of book reviews. Do I have... Yeah, I do. Okay. Can I share this too? No, I can't. All right. Share something different. Boop, I made a little graphic. So I'll do this in a few rounds. First one is Writer Sanctuary. So this is a channel that I only learned about recently, like the last month, but seems pretty cool. He seems to be starting out on his publishing journey, but lots of experience already dealing with publishing things. So that's Michael Brockbank at Writer Sanctuary. There's no stream yet, but Monday 11/11 at 6 p.m. Pacific, I will be on there, and we'll be talking about who knows what. Then Wednesday, you all know Leah Lindemann at Pen to Paper. I'll be on her channel talking about the book. That's Wednesday, 11/13 at 4 p.m. Pacific. And then Paper Lantern Writers, which is a writer collective based in Northern California, but taking over the world. I'm going to be doing a guest blog post for them on 11/22. So that is the first round of little book tour things to promote Orla Rafferty, and that's my fun little graphic. I am screen sharing and screen share. Okay, so that's the preliminary stuff. And thanks for sticking with me this first 5 minutes as I stumble through a script, which I don't usually have to do, but I wanted to make sure to say all that stuff. Hello to the people. People were here before I was, which was a surprise. That doesn't usually happen. So, hey, Cat Pa's cooking. And Jim is here. He's reading Wayward as he waits. Eloise is here, multitasking on a weekday. I'm very impressed. Leslie is here. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello. Allison is here. I don't know how we're feeling. Yeah. Lean on each other in depression mode. Keep community building. Yes. He says, one day this will all be on some AP history exam. Really? You think so? I don't think we're going to have AP history in 20 years. I think a lot of stuff is going to fall away. Yep. I'd really like to be done living through historical events. Going to definitely escape my own little world in the meantime. Yeah. Allison says, stoked for your book, baby. I know. I want another way to say it. Like, book baby. CD baby is where that started, I guess. Book birthday. Although that still has birth in the title. Right there with you, says Cat Paw. All marginalized and women. Yeah. So exciting. Graphic is lovely. Thank you. Got a little sparkle on there. Weekday with my kid home from school today. My multitasking knows no bounds. Yes, very talented. Sweet. Okay, so 9 books to get through today, and I'm going to take it in, I think, a couple rounds. So the first one is closing out Victober. If you don't know, Victober is Victorian October. It's where we try to read Victorian literature, and it's run by, I think, 3 or 4 maybe different hosts on Booktube. And I read Clotel in my last wrap up. I talked a little bit about that, how it was cool that the author of that was also in another book that I was reading. So it was kind of a coincidence. This time I read, and here's my second share. This one. So I read on Libro.fm A Child of the Jago by Arthur Morrison, read by Nicholas Bolton. And I love this cover. That was a great job. So Nicholas Bolton, narrator extraordinaire, did a great job. My thoughts about Child of the Jago. So Clotel was from 1854. Child of the Jago by Arthur Morrison is from 1896. So we're getting almost 2 opposite ends of the Victorian period. And basically, it's like, what is it like as a story? Okay, here's what I wrote, because again, finding my words. A barely fictionalized account of life in the most wretched of East End rookeries. There's violence, injustice, pain, tragedy, despair. And, you may think that sounds like one of my books, but no, this is very graphically detailed in violence and like not my type. So well done. Like the threads were well woven. The life was definitely shown in full tragic glory. But yeah, not really my thing. Should I go on with Victober? Do I need to stick with women writers on class? Because that seems to be where I find the most joy and uplift. I looked up Arthur Morrison to see his background, and he also wrote a trilogy of detective stories, kind of like the the Bill Sykes meets Sherlock Holmes version, like no conscience will do anything to earn money in the poor neighborhoods of Victorian London. And so that didn't attract me to want to read those books either. So I don't think he's an author for me, but there's lots of great period detail. So if you're looking for something as a background research, this stuff is, like I said, highly fictionalized. It's lifted out of historical events that someone related that were happening at the time. So it's not like there was any distance. It was like what was going on in this little neighborhood by Shoreditch. So yeah, if you're into that, there you go. There's my recommendation. Book Genesis. See, and that's biblical, so that's even less my thing. Book Parasite. See, Laura's going in the right direction, but I don't know if that would actually communicate to people what my thing is. I think that might be too widely interpreted. But you're on the right track, so I appreciate it. Okay. So October read 2 books this year. Again, not too great of a success. I can check them off, but not my favorites. The next that I'm going to share with you, number 2 for today, is this book, which again I can't really show you. It's called Empire of Letters, and it's an interlibrary loan, which is why it has this. It was a research read, and so I had it for a good long time. I picked this up because I was looking for how you would address and how you would sign off on a letter in the time period for my book. So I was like, sure, I'll read a whole book just to get one detail right, because that's the type of historical fiction you get when you read my books. But then I got sort of more fascinated with the other stuff going on. So this is by Eve Tavor Bannett, who is, I think, academic in the middle of the country. And at this point, I don't care where in the middle of the country. I'm angry at them. So what I wrote down for this was the interesting parts are how have letters changed? So the content of the letter and the format. How were letters treated in former times? People would read them out. They were sort of considered public property among a family or a neighborhood. So you shouldn't put anything secret in there unless you know the person is going to guard your privacy. People also published letters all the time. So like if you have read 84 Charing Cross Road, which is people's correspondence back and forth, it's real. That's like sort of the last one that we know that's letters that people have read that I know of. That's like pretty famous and successful. We don't do that much anymore. Who could interpret the many layers of meaning? So this book is actually not about letter writing. It's about letter manuals. So I got a very, again, academic vibe about how people were taught to write letters in the 18th century mostly, and then bleeding into the 19th. And how you could couch things in a way that made them either very flattering or very witty, or, couched a meaning that you didn't want to be public, and so only the people who were in the know would understand. There's also a little bit about like secret codes and how that was done in the time period. So it's pretty interesting. It also compared its scope was comparing London letter manuals with those in America in the time period, which is New England and Scotland. And so there was an interesting sort of comparison about the middle of the empire and the fringes of the empire, and how things were different based on time and how they were evolving, but also being on the fringe, you have a different view of how you should write letters and who it's for and who should be saying what to whom, depending on if you were in the middle or on the fringe. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So not that I'd really recommend this to anyone unless you're super, super nerdy and you love letters and history. So that's book number 2. Book number 3 is going to be a group. Excuse me. I'm getting over the flu. I had the flu all last week. So I'm finally off the Mucinex, and we'll see how it leaves my system. So the last 3 are grouped together for Herkyed. So if you don't know, Herkyed stands for HRCYED, the hardest reading challenge you've ever done. It's a readathon going for the whole year, starting in July, run by Qwordy, who's a fellow indie author on Booktube. And I'm away at some of the prompts, and the last one that I did in this last couple weeks is 3 books read in 24 hours. So I had an ebook, which was a romance, which I could tear through. I had a tiny little book that was called The Miracle of Trees. It's I think it's translated from, I don't remember if it's Finnish or Norwegian. Olavi Huikari. What does that sound like? 2012. Translated from the Finnish. There we go. So, cute little tree book. And then this one, which is a double dip. Oh, can I do that? Oh, no. Can I not do that because they're not highlighted? Okay, well, I'll have to choose. It'll obviously have to go for 3 in 24 hours because the other one I can find something easier for. Dang it. Dang it, dang it. Okay, so Rosamund Pilcher, Snow in April. Miracle of Trees, I'll treat first. So I bought because it was pretty. It's like holographic. Can you guys see that? So it's pretty, it's cute, it's translated, it's got illustrations that are really pretty, but I didn't look at it very closely because, like, it's tiny. I can't really read the print with the illustrations. So, I read through, got something out of it, but not as much as I wanted, I think. And it was very technical. Like they had lots of science words that I didn't really understand, and then some of the illustrations were not explained in the text because it's very sparse text. It's just like a page for each thing, and it skips around in terms of what it's talking about. So altogether, not really geared toward me as an audience, I think, and hard to read because of the font. So I can't say that was a favorite either. Snow in April is a book that I had on the lowest rated list because she said if you don't have Goodreads and lowest rating and you can't sort things that way, under 3.5 is like lower rated. So this is like 3.2, I think, on my story graph. And it's a book that I had, and it's an author that I've read before. This is my 6th Rosamund Pilcher book. I did look that up. And I'm a fan, but I was surprised to note that almost every one that I had reviewed was a 3-star. So, like, how am I a fan if every time I read a book, it's a 3-star, which is not a great rating for me. So, what do I like about Rosamund Pilcher? She's usually setting things in Scotland. So I get like just a kick of nostalgia of going to Scotland and seeing scenery and sort of country life. And, I could examine that and probably draw some conclusions about grass is greener, aspirational, aesthetic living that's not too flattering. But I don't know, 300-page, 30-year-old books that give me that feeling, I feel less bad about. But what I don't like about it, it's a very privileged life. It's definitely like the romance for the town and country set. So it's a privileged fairy tale, which, I mean, romances are always fairy tales, but this one is about a young girl. She's 20. She's dropped out of art school after a disease and a breakup and is fine now, but like hates life because she's going to marry someone who her stepmom arranged, and she just doesn't really love life. And this guy has just had his brother die and is grieving, and this girl runs her borrowed car into a snowbank and lands on his doorstep in a blizzard, and that's how it starts. So it's definitely Rosamund Pilcher is queen of the insta love, but they don't know it kind of trope. And yeah, I liked some of it, but it's lowest rated for a reason. I can get rid of it now. I don't need to get any Rosamund Pilcher books anymore. I think I've arrived after 6 books. And then finally, we've got this book. So Um, I went on Instagram and saw that someone was having like a get a free historical romance book bonanza. So I found this author, and the name was in my head because someone had just mentioned it, Nina Jarrett. And this was the book that she had in the sort of free book giveaway offer, The Duke Wins a Bride. And I think it's maybe first in the series, which is why she promotes it that way, which is smart. I enjoyed it. I whipped right through it because this is part of the 3 and 24 hours, and I know I can whip right through historical romances. So I enjoyed it. The elements of this one are let's see, there's a spinster. So this is like, 25-year-old young woman who has a terrible dad, has a brother that's run away, and no one to champion her cause, basically. And she's getting married to someone. She thinks she's in love, and then she discovers some cheating and is like, oh, we're not getting married. And her brother is like, oh, yeah, you are. Not her brother. Her father was like, oh, yeah, you are. So she's trying to get out of this engagement. And the fiance won't break it off, and the father will break it off, and it's Regency England, and there's no other port of call. There's no other way out. So she goes to this neighbor who she hears might help her out, and he falls in love with her instantly and champions her cause for her. So they get married, and then they're like trying to figure it out, basically. So the success of the marriage, we're told, is dependent on the fact that she feels guilty that he may not actually like her and he rescued her, and he feels guilty because of his previous marriage and how it didn't work out and how it might mess up this one. So there's a little twist on the usual, oh, I don't want to hurt her, so then she feels rejected trope, which I really am tired of. There's a little twist on that with like the previous trauma affecting the present, success. But it was a little light. I would have liked a little bit like more explanation for it, but still good. Still a dashing hero, still a happy ever after. And like more than one hurt is healed. So I liked how she worked through people's experience and the romance that people were really trying. It was nice and hopeful. So there's that. So that was my 3 in 24 hours, and dang, I'm bummed that like I can't use that for the lowest rated. So I have one more lowest rated still to go. There's plenty of options, so it should be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on number 6. Number 6 is also a Her Kid book. It's the red cover book, and it replaced another red cover that I was going to choose. So that'll have to come later. It's The Case of the Man Who Died Laughing by Margaret Hall. It's a detective series that I picked up because it looked fun. From the Files of Vish Puri, Most Private Investigator. So this is a book that takes place in Delhi. It's contemporary, and it's written by a white dude, but he, I think, lives in India and has an Indian wife, I believe, is when I looked it up. Yes, he lives in Delhi with his wife, Indian-born journalist Anu Anand, and their son. So interesting setup here. I don't know if any of you guys have read. It seems to be sort of a long-running series at this point. Hi, Ven. Welcome in. So it was a switch. I didn't have any other mysteries on this list, and I do like to do a mystery in the mix, so that was good. I liked that there was a lot of interesting Delhi detail, and it was explained in a subtle way. So I've never been to India. I have never studied it, aside from economic models and development angle. So reading this and hearing about modern life and gripes and marriage and different cultural things like parties they would do and responsibilities to family and neighborhood sort of gossip and stuff. That was really fun. Oh, but I was gonna share, the language is doing a lot of work. So I really liked Tarquin Hall's style of writing. He has a glossary in the back for all the terms that you won't know that aren't explained in context. But he also does things like this, and I just will read an example. Puri watched the tape again. As he did so, nothing in his demeanor indicated that he had noticed something significant. And you're like, wait, that means he did notice something significant, but we're in a point of view where it's someone observing him. And so we're let in on the secret that he noticed something, but we're also told that he's hiding it in that sentence that doesn't say anything about hiding. And I thought that was really interesting. It only happens a few times, but it's an interesting distance to bring. And I thought that was peculiar. I thought it meant he was making the language work. Like he's being very precise with his sentences. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I like it. I would definitely read another of Tarquin books. I thought it was well done. The mystery also had a side mystery. So he's the investigator investigating a thing that's pretty political, actually, in terms of Indian politics. But then his wife has something happen, and she and his mother-in-law end up investigating a side mystery. And so they're trading off of those with like different places and people and henchmen, and it was all very well done. So it didn't feel like bang, 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 but it also felt like it was developing and things were slotting into place. So I thought it was really well done. Oh, the one note I had was I wasn't sure about the subtle callouts to caste injustice. So there's one of the detective's henchmen who's called Tube Light, and he's basically like his number two do everything servant for the agency. And there's like a couple pages where in Tube Light's point of view, and he says, oh, he's going to be tired, he didn't get to eat, and like so you're seeing from his point of view the fact that when he's on a case for his boss, he doesn't have any consideration of his needs. And I felt like this was a little bit calling out, upper castes taking for granted the fact that their servants do everything for them, or will do anything for them, I guess is the feeling that I'm hinting at. And I wasn't sure how to feel about it because we don't come back to his perspective. And the investigator himself doesn't seem to realize it or be made aware of it. So I was kind of puzzled by that. I would have to read another book in the series to see if that's repeated or expanded upon. But if you've read any of these, let me know if that's a thing or if I'm just like putting something there that's not there. So that's the mystery. That's number 6, 3 more books. So one I've got here, this is actually the earliest one I read in the last 2 weeks, but it's almost at the end of this wrap up here. The Truth According to Ember by Danica Nava. And this is a new release, a romance written by an Indigenous author. So I just saw Leslie talk about this. I think, no, it wasn't Leslie. It was Caitlin. Caitlin of Bandy Books just mentioned this. Yeah, so hopefully this gets out. I think it's a great romance. What is in it? Indigenous author, new release, workplace romance. You know, I'm a sucker for workplace romance. And the main crux or conflict is the crisis of values. So we get to see someone who's frustrated with the system and not being able to better her life. And she compromises. And in this compromise, she sort of goes down a rabbit hole and has to learn when the shit hits the fan that, where does she stand? Okay, this is not me. I'm going to reform. And then we get a happy for now. So I won't spoil it, but I will just say it was delightful to me. I really enjoyed reading it. There was sassy humor. There was like corporate mocking humor, which I hooted at. I really enjoyed it. So definitely recommend, especially as it's Native American Heritage Month and you can highlight a new Indigenous author because I think she did really well for a debut and like a romance and everything. So definitely looking forward to more of her work. The next rom-com I've got is a library book called before I move on. Yeah, Allison read it. Ember was really good. Looking forward to more from this author. Yeah, me too. Me too. So Do Me a Favor by Kathy Yardley is the next one that I picked up. It's a newish release, I think within the last couple months. And I read Role Playing by Kathy Yardley, which is only like from a year ago. So she's writing them fast. This is a rom-com that is set in the Northwest. It has to do with a mature woman who's got caretaker trauma and a mature man who has a little bit of the same. And he's got grown twins as kids. And so you're setting up the scene where they're both recovering and healing, and then they meet each other because of a dog. It's just really cute. And, you know, they get into each other's safe spaces. I think she develops those things really well. You've got restrictions or like obstacles on both sides. And, you know, family on his side pushes him towards her, and, you know, her own trying to grow impulse pushes her towards him. So I think it's delightful. I loved it in Role Playing, and I think it's a very modern way to look at people and their hangups and how they can get over them and find happiness and love in a relationship, which is beautiful. So dog facilitates romance. Love it. And set in an island off the Puget Sound. So if you're a Puget Sounder, you will love the beautiful setting in this one. And then last but not least, I'm saving the best for last here. Oh, Leslie says, I'm going to try sneaking in a read of Ember in December. That's cute. I didn't realize that would come out that way when I said it. Yeah, that would be a good one. It's good. And it makes you really hungry for food. There's some really good food descriptions in Truth According to Ember. Cat Plus says, you may want to read East of the Sun by Julia Gregson if you want a British Indian romance to breeze through. British Indian romance. I'll look it up. I will look it up. Thank you for the recommendation. So final, last but not least, rom-com. We've got pew, pew. Oh, wait, I can do this. Where's my there we go. Yes, we've got an air horn reaction now. It's great. We've also got oh my God, it's long though. That's annoying. Okay, so last but not least, rom-com number 3, A Scottish Christmas by Emma Bennett, which I know Leslie's also going to be reading in December as a buddy read, I think. So I finished this one right after my 3 books in 24 hours. It was another escape book that was lovely. I was on a roll with the ebook romances, so I just rolled right into this one and definitely enjoyed it. So Emma Bennett is, of course, a friend on the Booktubes, and definitely this is a new release. It just came out last month, so it's a perfect holiday gift or holiday escape if you would like. This also has a young woman artist who has a little bit of caretaker trauma. A youngish man who is got some abandonment experience, and he has a young daughter. So it's weird that there's like several things lining up with Do Me a Favor, and I read them, you know, within a couple weeks. This one, instead of neighbors or coworkers, is about a boss and employee relationship, which is, I don't know if that's usually what I find in workplace romances. I'd have to do an audit, which doesn't sound fun. But boss employee romance, and instead of a dog that facilitates things, there's a goat in this one. So Emma did make a little bit of Waves talking about the goat and how frustrating it was to write about. I think she probably enjoyed researching the goat part because, yeah, the first encounter is pretty funny, and miniature goats are pretty cute. I think they've got some good press going on right now, but yeah, I grew up with a goat around the stables that was not in miniature. He was big, and he did look like the devil that the main character first confronts. So she got that perfectly right. Um, I especially loved the Scottish details, of course. Of course, there's the cold she deals with and the woolly sweaters. There's Edinburgh at night and exploring the beautiful scape during the holidays. There's the wellies. Of course, that's all over the UK. The views from the train, the views from the house, snow, and one that I particularly loved, which felt very real to me, which is that when you're in Scotland, porridge tastes less like a storybook Hansel Gretel gruel meal, and it's just amazing when you're out in the fresh air, walking the hills, breathing in the Scottish air. Porridge is the perfect, delicious accompaniment. I don't know why, but it is. It's amazing. So this made me nostalgic, and now I want to go pick up Scottish pin oats because they taste different, they hit different, and they make you feel better, which is what I need right now. So that's on the list. Leslie says, yes, a Scottish Christmas. Yes, the Emma Bennett. 2 N's, 1 T. Goat, Ven says. I want a pygmy goat. Are they called pygmy goats instead of miniature goats? I can't believe they didn't put the goat on the cover. I know. That would have been a good move, especially if it was standing on something, because the goats like to climb things. But yeah, it's a cute cover anyway. This, like I said, it's another like caretaker sort of past trauma and informing the present, people sort of working towards bettering not bettering themselves, healing themselves and allowing themselves to trust in a relationship. I really liked it. I thought it was very heartwarming, very cute, and I can't complain about a Scottish setting, right? Okay. So I'm running out of voice. I think there's something going on here. So I'm going to wrap up with some reminders. So I told you about my little book tour. That's at the beginning. If you want to know where I will be next week, I will update that slide for next events. If you want to have me on your channel and talk to me about books coming out, publishing process, Scottish history, anything, let me know. I'd love to. And your reminder that the pre-order offer is coming out next. I did finalize it. It involves these cute little things. These are book plates. I had to go to 4 different shops in Portland to find them. Whoops. I didn't touch anything and I disappeared. That's great. So that's part of the pre-order offer. And I have 20 of those. So if I get 20 pre-orders, that would beat previous records. I've done pre-orders twice. If I have 20, that would be awesome. That would beat previous records. And that's while supplies last. So, yes, if you want to be on that list and get a special little pre-order offer, then you know what to do. You get there first, which means you sign up on Patreon for free at this link. There we go. On my channel, I will be hosting a fellow content creator. So I read a book called Slow Down that's in my last wrap up, and I saw someone talking about it. Of course, my phone is tracking me because we're all in a surveillance state. And that's probably why I found Chris. Chris is someone in New Hampshire with a family and a job, and he just sort of got the bug to start spreading the climate crisis gospel. So he's on TikTok, and that's where I found him. And he's spreading lots of great facts and trying to be activating people to make behavioral changes, but also political changes. And one of the things he did was read Slow Down, the Degrowth Manifesto. So I will be hosting Chris on my channel, and we'll be discussing Slow Down, the book, as well as like climate crisis, and I guess how it affects our lives, on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific. So look forward to that. Otherwise, sign up for the Patreon and you'll get to hear the other things that are included in the pre-order offer. It's international. It's just international postage. And you know what? I've got plenty of international postage. So, you know, don't be afraid. That's just these things. So I've got plenty of those. And I'd love to send pre-ordered things to people who order books in their own countries. That would be really cool. Again, I think I'm losing the voice, so we will pop up the last. Oh, that doesn't apply. Well, then I won't do a banner at the end. I have an exit video. So, does anyone have any questions? I ended earlier than I thought I would, so I'll just stick around for 5 minutes if people have questions about anything. About if you want to have me on your channel and invite me on, if you want to know what else is on the Patreon, if you want to know what Portland sounds like right now, it's pretty quiet. If you want to be mad at Draft Digital with me that they're screwing up my ISBN and stopping me from ordering paperback copies so that I am unsure whether I can show up at an event with paperback copies that are required, you know, it's peachy. Tell us about the Patreon. So I've had this Patreon for 4 years. And I've usually had 3 tiers. One is $2. You just are sort of throwing tips in a tip jar for me, and I love you forever. The $5 is the postcards where I send out book mail each month. And the $8 was the book club, which we have just shut down. We just had our last month for the book club. So we're closing that out and clearing up for December. So now I've just got 2. I'm sort of like previewing or, thinking up ideas if I want a third. I was thinking about the audiobook chapters, but right now those are free for everyone who follows. So Kat Paw knows what I'm talking about. She's my audio engineer at the moment. But that doesn't seem like something that's big enough to be at a higher tier, doing like a couple chapters or so a month. So I'm still sort of auditioning ideas for another tier. But in the meantime, the blog is just behind the scenes, publishing slices of life, sort of photo essays, like interesting things. I take pictures all the time when I see beautiful scenes. So I try, as part of self-care, to leave the house most every day and go on a walk. I try to get 3 miles in each day, and usually I end up taking pictures on my walks, especially now. Fall is about over, but there's still some really beautiful trees. So I like to share those in little photo essays or galleries. That's part of the Patreon. Basically, it's because I don't want to do a separate newsletter. The newsletter gets 0 engagement, and it's the content that I want to write. So I'd rather have the Patreon blog be the place where I release the new information for people, and they can always stop by there to see what's the latest or see, the purchase link or whatever they can do to support me, rather than something that's getting no engagement. So that's what I'm trying. Streamline. I'm really fighting the urge to never post anything on social media again. Today, I'm sure that'll go away, but like I was just doing things for business and random one-offs on Twitter, and now I feel like it's my time and effort and love, and like where is this going? Like, what is the purpose? So yeah, lots of big questions today. But that's what the Patreon is for. And that's why I'm like trying to funnel people. If you want to hear about my stuff, go there. It's like my blog, and you can do it for free. Yes. All right. I think we're gonna come back to book launch instead of book baby. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So I think there will be a walk after this, and we'll see if we get any photos. There will definitely be chocolate. That's all I got. Yeah. Are you guys gonna what are you guys doing for self-care today? Let me hear. Let me hear someone else's success story. Yeah, it's sunny here right now too. So that might be good. Chocolate is always good. Yeah, I know. I that's my credo as well, until it's like the only thing that makes me feel good, and then it doesn't, because then we're on an unhealthy track. So, yeah. I've got my regularly scheduled scream into the void, so I'll just extend it a little. Yeah, yeah. I just a few days ago posted a TikTok that was using the audio, I think from Snow White and the Huntsman, where it's like no loyalty, because it was a scream basically. But there's lots of scream audios that I could use. Oh, Cat Paw says knitting when I'm not having to cook. It just started to rain. Hugging the cats. That's a good, yeah. When I'm doing work stuff, it's like computer, take a break to do laundry, computer, take a break to do dishes, computer, take a break to cook something or make some food or a cup of tea. I don't have knitting. I've got mending behind me, but that has been sitting there for months. Where I'm muted about 50 words on Twitter. Yeah, I've never done that. I've blocked and muted people, but not words. That's an interesting approach. Because then you don't hear news, even if it's people reporting on those people. I don't know. Allison says sunshine, regrouping, and plotting. Yeah. The guy who has that ice cream place in North Portland, Wonderwood, he said they're open if you need to laugh, cry, or scream. And I was like, I haven't gotten over there yet. Maybe that's a good destination this week. And listening to Ruth Goodman podcast, History and Humor Unbeatable. Oh, I don't think I know this one. All right, I'll put that on my list. I'll open up a tab right now so I don't forget. The Curious History of Your Home, Domestic Historian. Oh, so she's kind of like Lucy Worsley. Cool. I like that. Laura says, just pretend it's not happening. I can't do that. But I haven't figured out how. I was thinking, I feel like I need to be a porcupine nowadays, and instead of just like not seeing or ignoring the crapitude, I need to like start slinging quills. Eloise says, just rocking and singing. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing's gonna be all right. Yeah, you can do that with a kid. I can't do that with myself. I'm slowly moving from Twitter to Blue Sky at the moment. All right. I would close my Twitter if it wasn't for worrying about someone pretending to be me in the future. Ridiculous, but that's me. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's like there's an impulse that Twitter is exploiting for its own gain, which is like people's need to communicate and community build and express and sort of like have humor as an outlet. And I would totally go somewhere else if we had this public space for that. So I'm like, for news, if people are getting news from Twitter, you need a critical mass for that. But for community building and that outlet, I feel like you don't need a critical mass. You just need a few key people, and then it'll build your own community, like in silo. But I don't want it to be controlled by billionaires. That's when I fall back to like Discord. Is Discord it? Is Voxer it? Is a text chain it? I don't know. Cat Boss says yes for Ruth Goodman, I think. Yeah, we got a different song. Elsa's saying, Mama said there'd be days like this. That's a good one. Yeah, I think I'm more on feeling that at the moment. Strange days indeed. Most peculiar. That's a good one. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is like a Disney manifested like fever dream. I don't know. Let's Google it. The quills usually lie flat against the porcupine's body until they encounter a threat, at which point they puff up and erect their quills. Okay, where's the rest of this? Swinging their spiny tails until the threat either leaves them alone or gets a sharp whack and a face, hand, or paw full of quills. So no, they don't shoot them off. That was a fever dream. One possible explanation is people saw porcupines molting or shaking off loose quills and assumed they could shoot their quills like projectile weapons. I mean, it sounds like a superhero to me. Que sera, sera. She sings in a desperate, hysterical kind of way. Yeah. So that means what will be, will be. And I feel like, yeah, but if we're the ones being, like, we need to regulate at some point. That's my feeling. I just don't know how to do it with people. Wow, we only have hedgehogs. They're not that cool. They're the cutest, Laura. Don't diss on hedgehogs. They're the cutest. Unfortunately, when you go to look up gifs for porcupines, hedgehogs come up. And I'm like, no, these are not the same animal. It's like elk. Like it's a cross ocean misunderstanding. No one should get these confused. The sweet little free trial version. Yeah, I don't think they're related. They look very different. Ben says hedgehogs are snuffly. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling very hedgehogish right now, so we're relating. Yep. Adrian's here. Happy horrible day, y'all. Hey, Adrian. Guess who's featured on my my praise for other books in this new paperback? That would be Adrian. Not seen as many hedgehogs, I'm guessing. And Eloise says, porcupines are big and waddly and cute. First time I saw one in the road, I thought it was a big boulder. Oh, so they've got camouflage in their bag of tricks too. I like them more and more. Don't take away my porcupine myths. It's the only thing I have left. Oh boy. Ballistic porcupine is a terrifying idea. May use it when I do D&D next. Oh, I like that. Imagine searching for an elk and you get a moose. Like, just no. Yeah. So, if people ever look at those and they're like looking at people who reviewed or gave you quotes, I just pulled your review quotes. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Now we've like filled out the hour, so I feel a little better about closing out. We all got a little therapy at the end there too. So I hope that helped anybody who was coming in. And yeah, take care of yourself. Go on the walk, take the pictures, cook the real food, do what you need to do. And if you want a Voxer or Discord or phone call with me today, feel free. I will be waiting for Draft Digital to call me or email me. I will be waiting by the line. Other than that, I'm free. All right. Thanks, everybody. Check out the books that I recommended today, and let's keep going. See y'all later.